All right, you guys, it's episode 33 of War Stories. So without further ado, I'm going to get straight to it. So I just dropped episode 32 of War Stories. I'm going to see if I can keep this going. Let's see how long I can keep the mojo going. It's been a while since I've been able to drop 3 or 4 in a row. Let's see if I can do it. So this one's going to be a quick one. I'm going to take you guys back to 1996 again. This was when I was in San Quentin doing a violation. And I was in the adjustment center. Now, I've talked about the adjustment center on here plenty of times. I've described what East Block is as far as how they have it set up for parole violators, for death row inmates, and so on and so forth. But for those of you that don't know, let me kind of explain this so you guys understand the layout. So in San Quentin, East Block is the whole. For people like me that are validated, that go through there, and either you're validated, you have an indie tournament shoe, you'll go to East Block. However, at that time, East Block was also, they used to house condemned grade B death row inmates. They would also be over there. That's where I used to see individuals like Richard Allen Davis, the Night Stalker, that guy that killed his kids. I can't remember his name right now. I talked about him before, but they're all over there. Tookie was over there. A lot of the Mexican Mafia members that I've mentioned before were housed over there. Everybody that's on death row, you pretty much get to see him. So East Block is considered death row's mainline. That's where they're able to go and get all their privileges, everything that they got coming to them. You know, they have a lot more freedom in East Block. For example, they let them get things like typewriters, hobby craft, things like guitars, and just all the privileges that they allow death row inmates to have. You have to be in East Block in order to have those. Now, they got 2 other areas where they hold death row inmates. There's another spot that's on top of North Block. Right now, I can't remember the name of it's basically their honor unit. And then you have the adjustment center, which is like death row's shoe program. If you're validated and you're a death row inmate, if you're gang affiliated, you go to the adjustment center. That's where they will house you indefinitely. All this has kind of changed over the years, but at that time, 1996, that's what it was. So also, you have, okay, it's called North Seg. North Seg is where they house the other death row inmates. It's a small unit on top of North Block that has, like, I don't know, I want to say 20 to 30 death row inmates that are part of like an honor unit. So anyway, by 1996, you know, gang intel in San Quentin and some of the other prisons that I had been going to, they took notice of who I was by that time. A lot of people obviously dropped out. People gave up information. People debriefed, and they had information on who I was. So they knew a little bit about me by 1996. I was a validated NF member. So whenever I would come into custody, a lot of the times what they would do is they would send me to the adjustment center because I was NF and because they knew I had influence. They would send a lot of other guys like me to the adjustment center as well. Mike Yu used to go through there a lot. Lucky, when he went through there, he went through the adjustment center. Silencio, obviously him being on death row, but before he was on death row, he went through the adjustment center. Chico, Robert Rose, Mateo, and it just goes on and on. Brown Bob, all the NF members that are documented and that they knew had influence would go over there. So the only other inmates besides the ones that had influence that they would house over there are inmates that were real assaultive, that were known for assaultive behavior, either on staff or inmates. So at that time in 1996, the adjustment center for guys like me that were at SEG, but that had, you know, an indie tournament shoe program, that was the place to be. They looked at it as one of their most secure units, and you know, you're slammed down and you don't really see that much over there. It's a small, dark building that's right in front of the chapel. That's how the administration over there looks at it. It's like, you know, we got them slammed down. It's top security, maximum security. and it's a real controlled environment. However, for me, that was the spot. Death row was the adjustment center was the place to be. East Block had its perks too, as far as death row inmates and them having an open pipeline, getting drugs and shit through the visiting room and through tobacco and all kind of other things that they got on the commissary, items that we obviously couldn't get as, ADSEG inmates. But over there in the adjustment center, I used to get a lot of love and respect from the death row inmates over there. Not just the Crips, the Bloods, the Mexican Mafia members, the Aryan Brotherhood members, all them guys. Those dudes are not on that political shit over there. They don't give a fuck about North and South. They're fighting for their lives. So, they're pretty much on that tip where, you get treated how you conduct yourself. If you're a stand-up, straight-up type of dude, and you're still active and you carry yourself well, that's how they're going to respect you. That's how they're going to treat you. So they didn't see me as a norteño or as an op, even though obviously they knew what time it was. Whenever I would go through there, they'd always have a radio for me. I get my thermals, sweats, everything I needed. Literally, when I went through AC around 1996, it's probably some of the best time that I spent while I was in San Quentin. I had a radio, and I used to just zone out, and I was doing time over there. Obviously, nobody wants to be locked up, but it was cool time. I could pass time like that. So that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to stay over there. Now, there was some good homies over there at that time as well. Once they start needing room over there in the adjustment center for death row, they take precedent over or priority over ADSEG inmates, obviously. If there's a fight over there, or if there's a lightweight small ward that's kicked off like it has in the past where they need multiple beds, they'll clear us all out and bring the death row inmates over there. So that's what the adjustment center is. It's considered death row's shoot program. Now, in 96, it was a cool spot. There was a lot of shit going on internally over there. You had Little Man was there. Mike Eel was there. Both of their situations was coming to an end. You had Mike Eel was there. He got that letter, and he knew he was in hot water as far as, the way that Rico and Lobo were politicking against him and trying to throw him under the bus. So that situation was kind of developing. And then you had Little Man, who got put on freeze. I had the luxury and the unpleasant pleasure of advising him that he was on freeze and that, this was coming from the Bay. And, for a lot of the times when you hear the word freeze, it's not a good thing. It's never a good thing. Nobody ever wants to be on freeze. And a lot of the time, it's the beginning of the end. However, knowing your situation, knowing what it involves, you pretty much know if it means it's a wrap, it's curtains, cookies for you, or if it's like just an investigation, it's part of protocol, something that'll get cleared up once they find out the facts. Little Man obviously was involved in that situation that involved his brother Pablo in the county jail, and he had some other skeletons in the closet that he was dealing with as far as texts and all that shit that was going on in the Salinas regiment. So when Mike Eel found out about it, he told me to pull Little Man aside, let him know that he was being put on freeze, and that, from that point on, nothing was going through his hands. He was, they were going to follow up on it later on, but Little Man knew. When I told him, I seen him change color. I seen, his mouth got all dry. I seen panic. I seen fear in his eyes. And he was like, why? For what, bro? Like, what did I do? And, I wasn't in the middle of that Salinas, all that stuff. So, I could only tell him, hey, brother, as far as I know, it's just protocol. Your situation better than I do. It'll clear itself up. Don't sweat it, bro. Whatever it involves, they're going to look into it, and it's just part of the game. Being put on freeze, nobody wants to be put on freeze. It's you get your respect, and but you're treated with everybody keeps you kind of at arm's length. Everybody knows that you're being scrutinized, that they're investigating you, and that, you know, you could possibly become a target. So, you know, people will still socialize with you, they'll still talk to you, but you know, they know that there's something going on. So it's just, nobody wants to be put on freeze. But like I said, I've been put on freeze before, and I knew it was a bunch of bullshit, and it was just part of the going through the protocol. You know, I knew that it would get cleared up. I knew the facts that were involved, and that it was all bullshit based on some bullshit, and it did get cleared up. But for the most part, when somebody hears that they're put on freeze, you know, they go into panic mode, especially NF members. You know, you're held to a higher standard. So anyway, right after little man ended up paroling, was like within a day, he ended up getting killed out there. That's another story. You guys know that one. I've talked about it before. So, you know, that situation was playing out over there, as well as the letter that Mike Eel got from, you know, it was rerouted from text, and it was a letter written by Smiley Rico. And, you know, his whole situation was starting to develop. And I went into that, how I was lightweight involved in, you know, trying to go up there and get the green light rescinded on Mike Eel and argue his point from his perspective and that whole situation. But that's not what I want to talk about. So what I do want to talk about is, so while we were there, like I said, there was some cool ass homies there. You know, Fly from Chole was there. I remember he was there. Mike Eel was there. You had Crow from Castroville. You had Smiley from Richmond. Chopo from Watsonville was there. Little Gangster from San Jose, Ortega, he was there. Shorty from my hood, rest in peace. Hector Io. There was a bunch of other homies, but there was some cool cats there, and I didn't want to leave. I had been there for about 4 months, and I was getting, you know, I knew I was getting ready to transfer. I was comfortable as fuck. You know, like I said, there was some good, you know, even my tier was a solid tier. I was up there with, you know, there was some Mexican mafia members up there. We were breaking bread with them. I mean, it was just, I was comfortable in Quentin. I didn't want to take that bus ride to San Quentin or to Pelican Bay. So anyway, we're out there on the yard one day, and they end up letting this individual come out to the yard. And as soon as he came out, I knew it was all bad. This dude, he was down as a northerner, but he was obviously a J-Cat. The dude had patches of hair missing. He was sucked up, dirty looking. So I was like, oh, fuck. You know, this dude's definitely, it's going to be an issue. So, but how are we going to deal with it? So he came out, and right away we had put 2 individuals on him. He's like isolated in the corner, can't move. He's like just, you had two homies on him, 2 hermanos, and they just were posted, waiting for like what's gonna happen. So, you know, Mike Eel at that time, he was there, he was running the yard. Mike Eel had the keys. He was the regimental commander for the adjustment center. Now, I knew I was leaving. I knew I was leaving, and I knew that the chances of me catching the bus any day were like, it was inevitable. I had been there for about 4 months. I begged, I pleaded with Mike Eel, let me get this dude. He was going to have some youngsters sock him up and just get him off the yard. You know, we didn't want to just tell the dude, go just walk to the gate and tell him you can't be out here. We at least wanted to put somebody on him, lump him up. I believe he might have even been somebody that was talking shit and being disrespectful on the first tier. So the plan is just have 2 youngsters, put 2 youngsters on him, get him off the yard. However, I told Mike Eel, man, please, let me get this dude. Come on, man. I don't want to leave. I want to stay here for a little bit longer, man. I swear I was pleading with him like, man, come on, Mike Eel, man. Let me stay with you guys, man. If I don't do this right now, they're gonna put me on a bus like any fucking time. And I told him, you know, I want to make sure too that I use this as leverage. Like, I want to make sure that I got everything that you want me to take up there to the base squared away too. So, you know, I need to stay here. So finally he was like, fuck it, man. You really want to fucking do it, man? Go ahead. He's like, don't fucking kill the dude. Just sock him up. At that time, I was swole. I was big. I was, I was healthy. I was 26 years old. I was in my prime. So, he was lightweight joking, but he was kind of serious. Like, dude, don't fucking kill the dude. Don't go in on him crazy. You're not going to hit him with a piece. I just want you to sock him up. So I was like, cool, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. So anyway, we run the length of the yard. I tell him, I'm going to do it at the end of the yard. I just want to at least, get our yard in, and we'll do it at the end of the yard. There's no use for me to do it now and to fuck our yard off. Plus, the Africanos were out there. We had some good Africanos. Yero Ascari, who I'll be talking about in some of my upcoming war stories, and Left Hand, some Jarvis Masters, two solid Jama cats that I got real tight with over the years. So it was pretty much agreed that I would do this at the end of the yard. There was no reason for me to do it before yard. It was a sunny ass day. Everybody wanted to get their yard time in, and this dude wasn't a threat. Literally, you can't always judge a book by its cover, but from looking at the dude, he was a lot smaller than me, and I was gonna put hands on him, and it was probably gonna be over pretty quick. So that was the plan. Now, at some point I went over to the Africanos. I went over to Yero and Left Hand, and I basically let them know, hey, this dude's about to get fucked off at the end of the yard, and I'm gonna do it. And they were like, what are you doing it for? You know what I'm saying? You crazy? And I was like, yeah, you already know I'm crazy. But on the real though, I told him, hey, I'm trying to stay with you guys for a little bit longer. I've been here for a while already. If I don't do this, chances are I'm going to get put on the bus. So I'm just doing it so I can stay just a little bit longer. I didn't really care about, catching an in-house violation another 90 days. In the big scheme of things, it wasn't important. I wanted to stay there. So anyway, we run through the rest of the yard. We do our thing. And at the end of the yard, Mikeo comes and he gets at me one more time. He's like, look, man, just sock the dude up. Make him, you don't got to stomp him out. Sock him up and let him go to the gate and get off the yard. It's as simple as that. It's not worth getting shot over. It's not worth using a pedazo or nothing like that. Really, I don't even want to send you on him, but, you want to stay, you want to do it, it's on you, man. So I was like, cool. So, again, I'm not trying to talk myself up. I'm just telling you guys what it was. I was in my prime. I was healthy at that time. You guys should probably see a picture of me around that time when this happened. I don't know if I took that picture during that exact stay right there in 96, but if it wasn't, it was within no more than 5 or 6 months from the time I took that picture, because I got out, went right back in, got out, went right back in, got out, went right back in. So anyway, at the end of the yard, they had let this dude out of the corner at some point. They didn't keep him in the corner the entire yard, but we kept security on him for the whole yard. You could tell the dude was out of place. He was out of his element being out there. He didn't know how to act. He didn't know what to do. He basically stayed there with his arms crossed, like by the basketball court. Just standing there like a lost pup. You had two hermanos that were on him. And, for the whole yard, that's basically all he did. We all, we got our money. We ran through our machina. We did everything that we normally do during our yards. Motherfuckers had pictures. They took some pictures and whatever else we were doing that day. So anyways, right when we got ready to go in, the gunner at that time was a cool Africano. He was cool as fuck. And Left Hand had a good rapport with them. Obviously, they were on death row. They'd been there for a long time. And, a lot of times when the integrated yard used to kick off, that guy, we had him in pocket as far as like, hey, I'm going to let you guys do your thing, but when I tell you guys to get down, just get the fuck down. I'll turn my head, turn my back, give you guys a good 3 minutes to do your stuff. But when I tell you to get down, get the fuck down. That's all I ask. So he was cool. I want to say No, I can't even remember his name. I almost got him mixed up with the gunner that was in Pelican Bay. I was gonna say George. That's that other gunner's name. But so anyway, left-handed basically told him, "Hey, look, the Northerners are gonna handle something at the end of the yard. Just give him a minute." And he was like, "Cool. Pretty much you guys already know the deal. When I say get down, get down." So I waited towards the end of the yard till we had like 10 minutes left. And after I was done doing all my things, I shook everybody's hand, told everybody, I'll see you guys hopefully on the next one. If not, I always knew that there was a chance it could backfire. I could end up, even though I didn't think it would happen, but I always knew that there could be a possibility they could put me on walk alone or something like that. They weren't going to send me to East Block, not for getting off on somebody. So, shook everybody's hand, told everybody, hopefully I'd see him within the next 10 days or something like that, however long they kept me locked down. And then I went over there to this individual. I almost felt bad because the dude was a small dude. He was small, sucked up, and like I said, motherfucker had patches of hair missing. It looked like he tried to cut his own hair with the clippers. Like he got into a fist fight with the clippers, and the clippers whooped his ass. I don't know what kind of haircut it was, but it was definitely an indicator that homeboy wasn't working with the full deck. So, when we came down to the last few minutes, and I knew that they were getting ready to run us in, I kind of crept over to where he was, and there was two other hermanos that were right there, and they had already, one of them, I knew that he was a good youngster that was striving, and I knew that something was to kick off. Chances, there were real good chances that he would have got involved just to show, that he was there, that he was, willing to assist a C. But I had to tell him, hey, you guys don't get involved. This is nothing that we need to waste any more people on. This is a specific thing that I'm doing by myself, and you guys don't need to come to my assistance, come to my aid or nothing like that. I'm gonna sock this dude up, and this is gonna get me hopefully a ticket to stay here a little bit longer. So I put everybody on notice. Everybody knew what time it was. Anyway, when all was done and said, I walked up to the individual. I stood there for a minute. I looked up at the gun tower, looked over at the homies. I looked at the couple of Afrikaners. Everybody's trying to act like they don't know what's going on. They're trying to act like, they're involved, but I can see they're, motherfuckers are looking to everybody wants to see it. When somebody gets smashed, people want to see it. And, everybody knows about it. And they're kind of like acting like they're engaged in conversations, or they're playing basketball, but they're constantly kind of just shooting looks over there, waiting for it to kick off. So when I got ready, I took one last look at the gun tower. I turned on them, and you guys already know what's coming. So I lit this cat up. I lit him up. I probably gave him a good 6-piece. I sent this motherfucker. I hit him with the Joe Frazier right. He leaned to the left. I sat him back up with my left. He went left. I cracked him again with another Joe Frazier right cross. He went back on the fence. As he was going down, I sent him with another right. And he was done. He was done. He hit the deck, and I could have stomped him out. I could have just been on him, but it wasn't necessary. And, Mike Ewood told me, not to do that. And lightweight, honestly, I felt kind of bad for the dude because I knew he wasn't going to fight back. I knew exactly how it was going to go, and that's how it went. So, like I said, on the real, I'm kind of being funny, but I put a good 5 or 6 piece on him, dropped him, and we all proned out. That was it. We proned out. The CO in the tower, the gunner, he acted like, he didn't know what was happening. He didn't see shit. So nobody got written up for it. It ended up fucking. My whole purpose for doing this shit was so that I could stay. But the fucking gunner he's a good cat, and it was cool that he was of the mindset of not wanting to get none of us in trouble and was looking out and was on board. But I was fully expecting to get written up. When I want to get written up, I don't fucking get written up. They didn't write nobody up. They literally just ran yard in, took the dude off the yard. They were like, yeah, he's a JK. He didn't belong out here. And that was it. I ended up fucking getting transferred out. Anyway, I mean, I got to test these things out, but on the real, I really wanted to stay there. I didn't get written up. They didn't investigate. They didn't ask this dude who did it. None of that. It was literally they just ran us in like it never even fucking happened. Anyways, this is episode 33. I know it was a quick one. I had to leave and come back. That's why my shirt, you can't see the raindrops. It's raining out. This is my second one for the night. I'm gonna go for the hat trick. I know you guys are waiting for some heat. You guys want some gore. I'm gonna give it to you. With that said, this is episode 33. I hope you guys enjoy it. This is your boy B, and I'm out.